Hi, welcome to MOA Maths Tutoring. My name is Monique, and I thought over the next few weeks, as we are approaching the Level 1 MCAT algebra exam, that I would post a few videos showing how to do some of the algebra questions you might encounter. You are welcome to ask questions in the comments, or maybe even suggest a question you would like me to do on the video. Alright, let's get started on today's question. I thought I would start with a merit level question that doesn't get covered very often, I don't think. Alright, and let me know if this is not clear enough on the video so that I can adjust it for next time. So today's question says, the surface area of a ball is given by A equals 4 times pi times r squared, where r is the radius of the ball. Give a formula for the radius of the ball. Right. So it sounds like a geometry question. You're not going to have to do any geometry, so don't let that stress you out. But we are going to be doing some algebra. We've been given a formula. It's always nice when they've already given you one. A stands for the area of a ball, R is for the radius. And they want us to make this formula for the radius instead. So at the moment, A is the subject of the formula. So A is by itself on one side. And if we've got a formula to calculate the area, if we know the radius. Now they want us to reverse it so that R becomes the subject on one side by itself, with a formula after that that can help us to calculate the radius if we knew the area. So this question is basically like a solving a question, except that because there's another variable, A, we won't actually get a concrete answer at the end, we will just get a formula. So let's have a go. I'll start by just rewriting it, so we can start manipulating it. I'm giving a bit of space just to show between them, just to show some of the operations. Alright, so at the moment we've got this formula, and just as a reminder, if this is something you get confused by, when you have the numbers next to each other like that, it means they're being multiplied all together. Pi is actually a number. This is just a symbol to represent the number, so it's 3.14 blah blah blah. So this is a number times a variable r squared, and we need to get r by itself. Now you'll keep r on the right hand side for the moment. At the end I will actually swap it around because we like having the subject on the left hand side, but it's an easy enough thing just to swap it at the end as long as you are doing it the same. So let's get started. To get r by itself, we're going to have to do reverse BEDMAS. If you remember, BEDMAS is the brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction that we normally follow the order of when we do calculations. When we are reversing the process, in this case we're going to be doing reverse BEDMAS. There's no addition or subtraction in this case, so we're going to go to multiplication first. We've got two multiplications, 4 and pi. We could actually remove them both in one step by just dividing by 4 and pi, but just for the sake of this video I'll do it in 2 steps so you can clearly see what's happening. So let's just get rid of that. So I'll start by just getting rid of the 4. So I'll do 4. To get rid of 4 you have to divide by 4. So making this a fraction, this line is essentially the same as divides. So I am just saying, I'll make this a bit bigger for you. I am just saying 4 divided by 4 will actually cancel out this operation. It'll make it become 1, and therefore it no longer impacts the rest of the term. So you can just kind of consider it like that. Of course you can't just go and do whatever you want to a formula to get rid of things. In order to be able to do this, I have to do exactly the same thing on the other side of the equals. So I'm dividing the a by 4 as well, and that's why we are allowed to do it. As long as we're doing it on both sides, it allows us to get rid of the terms. So now I'm just going to rewrite this formula. Now we've got a divided by 4 equals pi r squared. So funny, huh? Sure. Alright, so we have got rid of the 4. Now the next thing we'll get rid of, because it's still a multiply here, we'll get rid of pi. Pi is a number. We can just divide it by pi to cancel it out again. And because of that, we need to divide by pi here as well, which basically means that the pi just goes under with the 4. That's why I said at the beginning you can just do divide by 4 and pi in one step. I've just done it in 2 steps so you can see what are you doing in each time. So now we've got a over 4 pi is equal to r squared. Alright, now we've gotten rid of 4 and pi. It's now just been divided on the other side. The last thing we need to get rid of is the squared. And to reverse a square operation, you need to do a square root. I'll just give a bit of space for this. Alright, so that's now a square root to undo the square on the left hand side. In order to be able to do the square root though, I need to do exactly the same on the other side. Now it's very important that you do the square root to the whole statement on the right hand side, not just the top a, because it's the whole operation that has to be balanced out with the square root on this side. And that's the case for most operations you do. With plus and minus, it doesn't actually make a difference because it doesn't matter if you do it to one thing, it's always the same. But with times, divide, square, square root, all those operations, you need to make sure that you do it to the whole side. Right, that would leave us with square root of a over 4 pi equals r. Great, can you see now that we've got r by itself on one side? So essentially this is where you can stop, this is where you get your merit grade. I'll just make a couple more points. Normally with a square root, it's important to remember that there's a plus and a minus of that square root. So r squared is a quadratic. Quadratics usually have 2 answers, which means we usually have a plus answer and a minus answer. But because this is a real world problem where we are talking about the radius of a ball, a radius cannot be negative. It can't be a negative number. So in this case, the only square root that's going to count for the formula is the positive one. So we just don't have to have the plus or minus. Now I will just rearrange this. I'll just swap the 2 sides just so that it's sort of at a more traditional format for us to see. You don't have to do this, but it is just good practice to get into the habits of doing them the right way around. So all I've done is swap the 2 sides so that this would be my final answer. And I get a merit grade for that, or an R grade. Not merit for the whole paper, but a merit for that point. Alright, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. See you guys.